I'm Beau Maddox.
And I'm Ryan Gosling, literally for real.
And this is Barbenheimer 2023. Welcome to Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters, where we focus on good movies, bad movies, and everything else in the world of cinema. We're podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420-friendly podcast, so whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it. And this is a true event here. The event of events, the cinematic event of a lifetime.
The biggest cinematic crossover event since Infinity War.
Absolutely. It's just something that is just like a wrecking ball on the world of blockbuster cinema. And of course, we are talking about motherfucking Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer! Oh my God, dudes. Okay, so out of the two of us, I'm the one that actually went to go see both of these movies on release night. At the same time. So I watched, or not that at the same time, but I watched Barbie and then I watched Oppenheimer.
So you did the double feature.
I did the double feature, and I did it on release night.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was right after work, and it was quite a thing. Let me tell you, I went by myself because I didn't want to have to end up paying for multiple tickets for multiple people, and I don't know. I just thought maybe I thought it was weird to ask somebody to buy 2 tickets with me, and I just went by myself here.
Yeah.
In Houston, and I mean, it was definitely an event. What's funny is I really didn't have a whole lot of material to work off of going on to either movie. I mean, I'd seen a little bit of some of the trailers, but I really didn't even know what to fully expect out of Barbie, whether this was going to be a movie more geared towards adults or kids. Definitely more geared towards adults.
A little bit, I would say. But before we go any further, not only did this big event happen, but another little something occurred in between the last episode that we did and Barbenheimer, and that, of course, is the ongoing strikes in Hollywood between SAG-AFTRA and the WGA and the AMPTP. And we want to say right now that we are standing in solidarity with the writers. We're standing in solidarity with all the actors. I hear that visual effects artists in the VFX industry, especially at Marvel, they just signed union cards and they voted to unionize. So we absolutely 100% support organized labor. We support the people who are on strike, and fuck the executives that said that they're going to allow these people to just, by October be homeless, and then have them come and try to take a bad deal. Like screw that noise. Seriously. So yes, it's like my fist is raised in the air. Solidarity. It's like don't settle for less here. Don't settle for less. And Barbenheimer right here. It's kind of interesting that this sort of thing happened with this big organic cinematic event right here. I mean, at the Oppenheimer event, it was the opening in the UK. All the actors, the strike happened right then and there. They walked off the red carpet.
And Chris Nolan supported it.
Absolutely, Chris Nolan supports it. So yeah, before we go any further, solidarity with SAG-AFTRA, solidarity with WGA. Fuck the AMPTP.
Hell yeah.
But now back to Barbie and Oppenheimer.
All right.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into Barbie because, oh my God, the discourse in this fucking movie. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so yeah, definitely for adults. Bring your older kids that have a good sense of humor. I mean, I feel like this is it's a little less subtle than the normal innuendos, right? So absolutely. They really kind of go all in, really critiquing a lot of things about both
about our culture in general, but especially about masculinity and femininity.
Oh, definitely. And I think that's why this movie has resonated with so many people because, I mean, you have a lot of people calling this movie woke. And it is very progressive, but at the same time, there's a whole demographic of not even progressives, of like right-wingers that just totally like fell in love with this like relatable Ken character played by Ryan Gosling. And I'm just going to go out and say that for me, Ryan Gosling was the best part of this movie. And I hate saying that, knowing that it goes against some of the film's like central themes. It like kind of like spits in the face of it that like the best part of this movie was still a man. But I just Gosling fucking killed it, man. And he's the Gosling, bro. And he's literally me for real.
The Gosling. And you know what? Alan is literally me.
No, but seriously, I was watching this. I know the Ryan Gosling is literally me joke. That's been a cultural thing for a while now. I mean, it kind of goes back to Drive, I guess.
Absolutely goes back to Drive, like 100%.
Yeah, that was kind of like the first time that really kind of started happening. And then, over the years, it's like every Ryan Gosling role, we just kind of like men just see him as like this archetype, as this personality, like Patrick Bateman or
man, there were dudes going to the premiere of Barbie wearing the Scorpion Drive jacket, which, by the way, our co-host Robert, who is not with us right now, he has one of those jackets, and I totally wanted to try to get him to watch this movie with that jacket on. Like, and that would have been so hilarious.
That dude, I know. I was trying to get Robert. We were trying to convince Robert. We're like, Robert, you gotta for the Gosling, bro.
Yeah, but I don't know. He was he didn't seem that interested in Barbenheimer for some reason. I don't know. It's weird because, you have Ryan Gosling and, of course, Christopher Nolan. Whenever Christopher Nolan makes a movie, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal, as we'll get into. But, yeah, no, I loved that I was finally able to hop onto the Ryan Gosling is literally me train. And believe me, I've gone full out with it. My Facebook has a picture of my face on Ryan Gosling's body. My current job is listed as beach. And I'm constantly making references about my Mojo Dojo Casa house and wanting a long-term distance, low-commitment, casual girlfriend.
Wow. Dude, honestly, that's a little element that, me being Ace and Demi, I couldn't help but just laugh at. It totally just took the concept of normal, heteronormative, monogamous relationships and just kind of shit all over it. But also shit all over a lot of the tropes that a lot of incels tend to kind of bring up, like, for instance, friend zone and all that. It really kind of satirized that a lot.
It really brings all of it because Ken's whole personality prior to going to the Barbie world, and I'm going to the real world from the Barbie world, and I don't want to go into spoilers here, but his character journey up to that point, and even ultimately throughout it and at the end of it is he's simping for Barbie, and I couldn't relate more. I've had so many of like times in my life of simping for women having unrequited feelings. If it's like it was like a ballad, and I think it's great that like so many men around the world relate to this, and instead of Ryan Gosling being like the silent badass, he's just this very like over the top simp. And
yeah, it's like
he's insecure.
He's kind of pathetic, honestly. He's pathetic as fuck. I mean, but it's very easy to relate to that, though. I mean, we've all kind of been a little sad and pathetic in our relationships somewhere along the line.
You know what, Beau? You are Knuff.
Yeah. I am Knuff.
Oh, I ordered the fucking hoodie.
Oh, I bet you did. Oh, let me tell you about how a lot of the chuds are trying to appropriate Knuff. They're totally trying to appropriate that shit and make it into like an alt-right message or something.
That's
like
that. That's what I was saying earlier. This movie has also appealed to the opposite side of the spectrum, and I don't know why Ben Shapiro is shitting on it because his entire fan base is all over it.
Did you see the photo of him standing next to the Barbie the Barbie movie poster, and the goddamn poster is taller than him? Oh, Benny Shap, you burned Barbies. You went and bought Barbies and you burned them. What the fuck, man?
I think even the alt-right chuds that are kind of looking at this movie and just like seeing Ken as this like based object, I think, it still is. There's a sense of irony here. And I think that everybody kind of realizes the point of his character journey, which, ultimately, it comes down for him and Barbie to just discovering who they are as individuals. And I think that's kind of the movie's ultimate message is that it's about, being yourself. You are enough.
Well, it's about self-actualization, taken to his logical final conclusion, especially within a feminist construct. You know, I mean, everybody thinks that feminism is supposed to be, like pitting women against men or something, like when it couldn't be further from the truth. It's very much, about equality. And in this movie, it shows how deleterious both patriarchy and the other extreme matriarchy can be. I mean, the situation with the Kens in Barbie Land, it's like, that's kind of parallel. I mean, it's not as extreme, but it's parallel to what was happening to women in the real world.
Right. And I think the movie even kind of, it doesn't. It might seem like it's kind of glamorizing this matriarchal world, but it's making a point about it. And I loved that this movie was not only genuinely hilarious throughout, like I was laughing from beginning to end, but it's so well and intelligently written.
Exactly. And we have Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach to thank for that. I mean, this movie had some stellar people attached to it. I mean, Greta Gerwig, my God, her directorial style here it's just so amazing. I mean, it's like using all these old school filmmaking techniques to bring Barbie Land to life. Like, I don't think there was even any CGI involved in most of it. A lot of it looked like the types of effects that you would see in old-timey silent films.
Yeah, it did seem like it relied at least more on practical effects than anything, and it has that in common with the other movie we're going to be talking about today. So I'm nice to see like a return to that in the film industry,
Absolutely. And what's great is how it really brought the plasticity and the aesthetic of Barbie's toys to life. I mean, that entire set genuinely looks like giant toy play sets.
It does.
Play sets that I know at one time were available in the Barbie line.
Dude, I remember my sister's Barbie dream house so well. I saw a meme with it the other day, and I just immediately recognized it because I'll be real. When I was really little, when I was a little kid, I did play Barbies with my sister. I liked playing as the Kens.
Yeah, I played Barbie with my little sister, and she liked to play Ghostbusters with me. Ghostbusters or Ninja Turtles. So,
yeah. So, this is something I think everybody kind of relates to in some way or another because it's like, yeah, I've seen that outfit, right? I've seen that Barbie. And all the little references that they make, too, like the pregnant Midge, who, by the way, canonically, Alan is actually the father.
Nice. Yes, Alan. Alan is my man. Alan is the shit. Alan is me 100%. Once all that jock shit goes down, I'll get the fuck out of there too. I'm just like, no, I can't take any more of this fucking shit. These people are insane.
Michael Cera in this movie is just classic Michael Cera, and he's Alan.
He is. Absolutely classic.
He's great. The other, actors, obviously, we haven't even talked about Margot Robbie, and she's phenomenal.
She's so perfect. She's perfect for Barbie. She was perfect for this.
I love how there's kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke about her later and a point that they're making about women. Did you remember that one? Where it was like, that was. I don't want to spoil it, but I love just how like self-aware her performance as Barbie is like throughout the movie. Just the way that her character is written.
That's the most interesting aspect to me about Barbie Land is how everyone is totally self-conscious. It's like, no, we are imaginary constructs in a way. It's like the real world and Barbie Land are completely different constructs, And I mean, I really like that angle.
Yeah. And I mean, throughout the movie, I felt invested in Barbie's character journey. And I found myself not actually predicting exactly what would happen by the end of the movie. I think that was probably one of the most interesting aspects of it to me, was that the movie wasn't predictable. And I feel like a movie like this would be, but it wasn't. I didn't actually know where they were going to go with this. And a lot of that is, just accentuated by Margot Robbie's performance, because she's obviously the central point here.
Yep. But also another shining point are the performance of the other Barbies as well. Like, for instance, we got Kate McKinnon as Weird Barbie, which, by the way, they released a Weird Barbie, and her whole story is that, every little girl has a Barbie that they kind of fucked up, that they played with and they fucked it up. Like, a lot of little girls have that, which is cool. It's like, yeah, they're no different than little boys fucking around and destroying their action figures, I mean...
Yeah. I love how that was referenced.
Yeah, right?
Also, like, this movie opens up with the 2001 A Space Odyssey reference.
Oh, there's so many cinematic references to this. Like, for instance, there's a reference to the volleyball scene in Top Gun.
Yeah.
There, like a total reference to it. And, but I don't know, one of my favorite things is that, Zack Snyder's Justice League is brought up in
yes.
this movie.
Yeah.
so we're film bros, like, being all into the Godfather, Like, every single one of them being into the Godfather was so great.
I know. Or that scene on the beach where Ken is playing the guitar and he's singing. Ryan Gosling does an amazing rendition of Push. I love the way he just kind of almost over emulates.
I wanna push you
around. Well, I will.
Well, I will. But no kidding.
My favorite part of that scene is he's singing the song to her, and then the camera pans out and we see that all of the Kens are playing guitar and singing Push to
except
each
for
of their
the
Barbies.
Except for one dude with the drum kit. There's a dude with a drum kit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a dude with a drum kit, I'm pretty sure.
That was just hilarious to me. I mean, it's just like the little jokes like that throughout the movie, and they're really carried by these performances. I mean, in terms of the Kens, we also have. I'm probably not going to say his name right, but he's the new Doctor, Nakui Gatwa.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
Yeah, he's one of the more prominent Kens in the movie. We've also got Simu Liu as Ken's like rival Ken.
Dude, he's great. He's
great.
Hilarious in his own right. Yeah.
And then just culminating up into like the dance number that all the kids do together. That also is just one of the best parts of the film.
that part actually really reminded me of something like West Side Story a little bit.
The Beach Off.
Like some of the Beach Off. It's like that's total West Side Story, man. I mean, once again, going back to a lot of those cinematic references that Gerwig kind of peppered throughout this movie.
Yeah. Just so many. It's full of life. I mean, this movie just never like bored me at any point. I felt like the pacing was pretty on point, and throughout the movie, I was not only invested in the story that was unfolding in front of me, but I was just laughing. It was so funny, and it was smart funny.
Really funny movie. But what was really funny was when Barbie went into the real world and then met up with the board members, and it's like, dude, Will Ferrell's back. Will Ferrell is kind of a return to form a little bit here.
Yeah. No, Will Ferrell is just classic Will Ferrell here. Like, it's actually kind of refreshing. And every scene with him in the board of Mattel is so funny.
It's really funny. It's really amazing. And America Ferrara, like, she gave that. She gave that like impactful fucking monologue. I mean, we've all heard the speech.
Have you heard the man version of it?
Oh, I don't know if I even want to hear the man version of it because it's probably some stupid incel shit.
But that whole speech that apparently she repeats to every Barbie, or maybe she changes it a little bit or whatever.
But my God, it's like, I mean, that's pretty much the underscore of the entire movie. That's the crux of it there, Did you
notice that both of these movies had clear, like, 3-act structures?
Very clear 3-act structures, yeah. A little more so than we've been seeing from a lot of Marvel movies even,
Yeah, like, it seems like there's just, like, a lot of, like we can tell when, a director and a team of directors and writers, really actually put their all into making a quality product, like just following the rules to a book. And it's just, I don't know what it is, but a powerful, like a well-defined 3-act structure really enhances a story.
And especially,
in a lot of ways.
especially a 3-act structure where the third act doesn't, completely falter, which is kind of a problem with a lot of modern movies. Is like they have really, really strong first and second acts, but once you start getting to the third act, it starts to kind of taper off.
I didn't feel that way with this movie.
No, it doesn't feel that way at all. I mean, the ending didn't feel like, honestly, at the end of the movie, I was feeling very kind of existential a little bit. It's like,
yeah, for real.
I think I'm gonna go smoke a joint and think about my place in the world.
This is a great weed smoking movie.
Oh, it's a total weed smoking movie. Yeah,
I mean,
it's a great movie to get high to.
I've got it on in the background, while we're recording too. She's talking to Weird Barbie right now. Like you said, Kate McKinnon is awesome.
Oh, Weird Barbie is great. Yeah, and like I said, they just released a Weird Barbie based on her character. So,
based. Let's see who else was in this movie. I know, like it was a pretty.
John Cena is in there.
Oh yeah, fucking John Cena is in the movie.
John Cena pops us a mermaid kin. I'm just like, oh shit.
Wait, I didn't see him.
Oh, that's right. You didn't see him?
I didn't see him.
I don't know. Maybe he wasn't there.
Yeah. fucking John Cena.
He would totally be an ultimate Ken, honestly. But a mermaid Ken, that's great.
Let's see. Issa Rae was President Barbie.
Yeah, she was excellent.
Dua Lipa is in this. I forgot about that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Which Barbie did she play?
The Mermaid Barbies.
Oh, she was Mermaid Barbie, huh? Okay. So Dua Lipa and John Cena, they're the mermaids. That's cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, this has such a huge huge cast that we kind of have to sit here and actually like look this shit up a little bit.
Oh, Helen Mirren is the narrator.
Oh, Helen Mirren, man! I heard that there's incidentally, speaking of Helen Mirren, I heard that there's somebody that's making a new cut of Caligula that's not going to use any original footage from the original movie. So that's going to be fun.
Interesting. Let's see, Rob Brydon.
But yeah, I mean, the cast in this movie is superlative, and they all fit their roles perfectly, and I mean, everybody's giving it their all here.
Yeah, they really are. I didn't feel like any performances fell short of what they were trying to achieve, and I mean, the biggest show stealers, of course, are going to be Margot Robbie and the Gosling. Even like their chemistry, like the way that they work off of each other. Even though it's like a one-sided thing, and he's pining after her, but she doesn't feel the same way about him. Even so, they managed to exude this chemistry, this dynamic.
But the thing is that Barbie still cares about Ken.
Yeah,
she genuinely does, and she wants him to be happy. And in the end, she kind of points him in the right way towards being happy. It's like, look, you're not going to find happiness in me. You can find happiness somewhere else. And I feel that is a very, very, very important message to get out there, especially to younger men, and young women, is that, you don't need to be in a relationship to, find individual actualization. I mean, it's nice, and a good relationship should be more or less like a partnership more than anything, but you don't want that kind of one-sided relationship, and you certainly don't want to be simping all the goddamn time, That's important, and I wish that when I was growing up, I could have gotten that message as well.
Man, I wish, to this day sometimes, man, it's always a struggle, and I think that's why, again, I just related so much with that character, and, just thinking about, just kind of something that I'm kind of figuring it out in my life is that, having you can't define yourself by your feelings for someone else, even if they are requited, even if you're in a relationship. Like, it's important to know who you are as a person before anything else.
Yes, definitely. And that's the best way to go about, like relationships in general, not just romantic relationships, but even platonic relationships to a degree.
Yeah. Yeah, you really have to like discover who you are. And I'm glad that that's the film's message. I mean, I actually went into it thinking that there was going to be a romance between Barbie and Ken, and this movie didn't play that angle at all.
And that's refreshing. It's so refreshing. I mean, especially for me, being Ace and Demi and everything. It's like, I mean, sometimes there's some older movies that shit can where I just gotta kind of roll my eyes at that shit, and I'm just like, oh geez, yeah, of course they're going to fucking be together. It's like, especially when it's like out of nowhere, which had this movie come out like 10 years ago, that trope would absolutely have been there, like beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, for real. But I guess that's as much as we can really say about the movie without getting into spoilers.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that it is definitely it's an important movie. It really is, and it's going to be an interesting cultural study. Maybe about another 10 or 15 years down the road to really look back on Barbenheimer and just kind of feel like it kind of feels like a paradigm shift in a way when it comes to how we watch movies, like how we interact with movies and how we interpret movies, because everybody is coming at this movie with so many different interpretations.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for real. Like that's what's great about this movie is like there is just it's actually enough of a how am I trying to word this? It's open to interpretation, and it's not as ham-fisted or in your face as some people might make it out to be. It's like the movie kind of lets you interpret it really however you are going to interpret it.
That's really a testament to the screenplay that Gerwig and Baumbach came up with. I mean, there's not anything that's wasted in this movie.
No, not at all. And I enjoyed that this movie has those moments for both women and men. Moments where we can sit and be like, yes, it is like that. I do get that. And I think that that's why this movie is so important, actually. Like you said, is that it's actually not only culturally relevant and will continue to be, looking back on this, but it has something important to say. It really actually has a message. There is genuinely like care put into the script behind that,
Absolutely, and there's also real care put into the characterizations of everybody. And I also like the dynamic between America Ferrera's character and her daughter as well.
Her daughter was great,
Her daughter was excellent, and she, I mean, she's kind of an individual in her own right, but it also was a very sweet relationship between the two, and it didn't get into too many of the same tropes that we see in those type of single mom daughter relationships in movies like this. It kind of had an interesting arc to it.
Yeah, and as a parent myself, it actually those are the parts I think that made me tear the most up were the moments between the mom and the daughter, and especially that one scene where we're seeing like their distance over the years, and that really hit me actually.
Oh, that hits hard, and then and that's something that is kind of conveyed through the character of Barbie at one point as well.
Yeah, definitely. But yep, that was Barbie. So I guess we'll have a short intermission, and then we'll jump into Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, the sloppy oppie.
The sloppy oppie.
Sloppy oppie.
Hey, Barbie. Can I come to your house tonight?
Sure. I don't have anything big planned, just a giant blowout party with all the Barbies and planned choreography and a bespoke song. You should stop by.
So cool.
You can find me under the lights,
best day ever.
It is the best day ever. So is yesterday, and so is tomorrow, and every day from now until forever. Do you guys ever think about dying?
When my heart breaks.
Some things have been happening that might be related.
When my world shakes.
Cold shower, falling off my roof, and my heels are on the ground. What do I have to do?
You have to go to the real world. You can go back to your regular life, or you can know the truth about the universe. The choice is now yours.
The first one, the high heel.
You have to want to know, okay? Do it again.
Closer I am to find. Closer I am to find.
I'm coming with you.
Okay.
Wow, this is the real world. What's going on? Why are these men looking at me?
Yeah, they're also staring at me.
Barbie in the real world. That's impossible.
If this got out, this could mean extremely weird things for our world. This would be catastrophic!
We haven't played with Barbie since we were like 5 years old.
Oh.
No one rests until this doll is back in a box.
Even if nobody else sings along.
Humans only have one ending.
Get that Barbie!
Ideas live forever.
No, I won't let you do just one appendectomy.
But I'm a man.
But not a doctor.
Can I talk to a doctor?
You are talking to a doctor.
I need a clicky pen?
No.
A sharp thing?
No.
There he is. Doctor!
Somebody get security.
Is Barbie if you still in doubt?
And we're back to talk about Sloppenheimer, the
Sloppenheimer.
Well, I would say we're not going to get into spoilers, but this is a real life historical event. So,
Yeah, so it's going to be a little different on how we talk about this because, these are obviously events that if you go and you read any type of biography of J. Robert Oppenheimer and everything, it's like, yeah, you're going to come across a lot of what happens in this movie. But Oppenheimer, I mean, the way that Chris Nolan really kind of took his life story and took the historical, all the historical data behind it, and kind of turned it into something that's more like I'd say that this is closer to almost like a thriller in a way, right? Like, it's kind of presented that way and it's shot that way. I mean, and I believe that Christopher Nolan actually kind of said that some of the ways that he scripted this and everything is kind of like a horror.
yeah.
Or how it was like
Yeah,
shot
in terms
and
of like the cinematography and whatnot. Yeah, like I can see what you mean there. Obviously, Christopher Nolan movie, it's going to be good. And this has every bit of the level of quality, if not more than his other films. I mean, this is actually a phenomenal movie, just on its own. And that's supported, again, once more by a stellar cast.
Oh, yes, you have Cillian Murphy, you have Florence Pugh, Robert Downey
Florence
Jr.
Pugh and
is
her
here.
tits.
Gary Oldman.
Florence Pugh's tits.
Oh yes. Oh, she was fully naked in this. I mean, it wasn't full frontal or anything, but honestly, kind of good to see nudity in a fucking modern movie for a change. I mean, that's something that I've kind of noticed with a lot of even R-rated movies these days, is that there's not a whole lot of nudity, and I could kind of understand why, post Weinstein and post Me Too. I mean, a lot of nudity in movies was kind of linked to a lot of that exploitation that was inherent in the system. But I mean, to see that Florence Pugh just kind of, and also Cillian Murphy as well, just kind of just throw all caution to the wind and just kind of do that. It's like, I mean, that was interesting, and I'm sure that Miss Pugh, she did it on her own terms, It's like, And nowadays they have like what do they call them? Intimacy coaches or something like that for these types of things, I believe.
I guess so.
But yeah, I mean, it was, I have to say, kind of nice to see that sort of, you know. And
I mean, I think it was
Florence
nice to
Pugh
see
is a
Florence
very,
Pugh's
very beautiful
tits.
woman. She's a very beautiful woman. She really is, and an amazing actress. I mean, she played Jane Totsky like spot on, man. She was awesome.
Yeah, she was great. Emily Blunt as well. We also saw Rami Malek is in this. Kenneth Branagh, the fucking Lockhart himself.
Fuck yeah.
Josh Peck is in this. I recognized him. I was like, is that
Gary Oldman is
Gary Oldman?
It's Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is Harry Truman in this movie.
Yep.
I did not recognize him at all.
I did
not
either.
fucking recognize him.
The guy that does that plays Albert Einstein, Tom Conti. He was pretty
Tom
cool.
Conti.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that portrayal of Einstein.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and
just so many names all throughout. By the way, I'm going to go out and say that this is Robert Downey Jr.'s best performance.
Oh, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I think that he should probably get a supporting actor nomination here, along with Gosling. They both deserve it, and Robbie and Murphy deserve Best Actor and Actress nominations, as it were. But yeah.
No, 100%. Robert Downey Jr. blew it out of the park, and I love him as Tony Stark, and this blew that performance out of the water. It's just this Strauss character.
Oh, it's light.
It's
light years away. Light years.
Yeah, and this character who you don't really quite know how to feel about throughout the movie, up until I guess the third act, you could say, when you kind of actually see his true colors and whatnot. But all throughout, I felt like he kind of stole whatever scenes he was in, and then of course, Cillian Murphy. To me, was just a very believable Oppenheimer. I really understood this version of the character. I don't know how close it is to the way that he acted in real life, but I know that a lot of the events in this movie are historically accurate. Are very true to the way things played. He actually did try to poison his teacher, although supposedly it wasn't actual lethal poison like in the movie.
Yeah, supposedly the Oppenheimer's family had something to say about that. And I think also something about his relationship with Jane Totsky a little bit as well.
Yeah, I could see that.
Here's what it was the whole thing about the I become death, destroyer of worlds saying, and where that came from. Apparently, he didn't really get it from a sexual encounter with Jane Totsky.
But
it didn't go down exactly that way.
I could have guessed that would have been one of the things that the movie embellished, though. It was just a nice entry point to where you understood that at some point earlier in his life he came across this phrase, so it would come back later. And according to Oppenheimer himself, the line came to him at the time of the bombing, but according to people around him, he didn't say it. But I would believe that the line came fully formed in his mind. And the movie kind of does it pretty ambiguously. You can't really see his face while this is going on. It's just over the explosion, the voiceover comes up. And so, it could have easily been in his head, or he could have easily been said out loud. I just thought that whole scene was done beautifully. That's the crux of the movie and honestly the best part of the movie, and you're actually still quite a bit away from the end by the time it happens.
Yeah, the actual bomb test at Los Alamos. I mean,
yeah.
First of all, I mean the way that it was done apparently was without any CGI, which was very, very impressive, man. A lot of the effects that's used, the interstitial effects and everything. The visual effects, it's all practical. And that's something that, once again, I want to bring up is that both of these movies pretty much use practical effects to full effect here. And in Oppenheimer, I'd say it's almost more it's almost more impressive because, I mean...
The entire movie was done without computer-generated imagery.
It was. And, I mean, Nolan was, like, adamant about making sure that this bomb was represented in a way that didn't use CGI. And I think that he really pulled it off.
It looks incredible. Like, you know, don't get front row seats to this movie because, right?
especially if you're going to IMAX.
Of course, Christopher Nolan is also very particular about the way that you're supposed to watch this movie. And I don't think I lived up to his vision. I just watched it at the local theater that was cheap enough.
Oh yeah, of course.
But yeah, Christopher Nolan says that this movie, you know, there's this. What did he say? Like he said to watch it on IMAX, right?
Oh yeah, he said specifically, it's like, no, this is best in IMAX. And I don't know if you saw some of the photos of the Oppenheimer IMAX print actually being set into one of the projectors. It's like the damn thing almost didn't even fit the fucking projector, man. I mean, there's like how many miles of film was it? Like it was a massive amount of film. Let's just put it that way.
I believe it. And I love how this movie also never wastes a second. And it's a 3-hour movie. And it doesn't waste a second of your time with that. Everything is purposeful. Every shot is meaningful. It's incredible. I mean, I've got this movie again playing on in the background like I had with Barbie, and I'm here in the opening scene when we're watching these flashes with the young Oppenheimer and the universe, you know, and just kind of realizing his place in this big universe and coping with that realization.
Yeah, and what a place it was. I mean, you watch the movie and you look back in the historical record. I mean, he had a really personal reason for making this bomb because he was certain that this was going to be used on the Nazis. Because I mean, he was of Jewish descent,
right,
and everything, and he was very aware of what Hitler was doing to the Jews in Europe and whatnot. So he felt that this was going to be imperative in ending that, but what he didn't have in mind was the fact that the Nazis ultimately were so incompetent that they fucked over their own war effort in the end. So the Allies kind of overtook. As we know, they overtook the Germans, and then eventually Mussolini fell, and that, of course, left the Pacific front, the Pacific theater, and Japan.
And I love how this movie doesn't really take a side on whether the use of the bombs were ethical or not on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because, you know, you can kind of see it from both perspectives. The justification they use up to making it is that we have to do this because the Nazis are going to do it first, and we have to do it before they do, and so...
Yeah, well, yeah, it was an arms race.
And so there's part of it, there's a sense of urgency that even though the characters, you know, Oppenheimer himself is like, I don't know if this is a weapon that mankind can be trusted with, but, you know, we don't have a choice, you know. And then once the bomb test happens, not even by the time the bombs are dropped, but by the time that it was a reality and the test happened, you know, that his character just completely... he regrets it, and that's true to life, is that Oppenheimer spent the rest of his life, you know, advocating against the use of nuclear arms. And, you know, just like the struggle that he dealt with the fact that he introduced this weapon to mankind, that he gave, you know, fire to Prometheus, like the opening of the film states, references.
Absolutely.
You know, or Prometheus giving fire to humans, you know, and it was kind of like, and I think they might have mentioned it in the movie too, but
and the movie's strongest suit is, you know, how it really presents that journey that Oppenheimer took up to that point, you know, but also just the fallout from it, you know. Like, I mean, I think that there's a point of time in the movie where, you know, the bombings in Nagasaki and Hiroshima have already happened, and he's really fucking dealing with that. But he's also dealing. This is another element of this movie. He's dealing with the House Un-American Activities Committee,
right.
The HUAC. Like he's being persecuted for his beliefs, for his communist beliefs. He was a straight up staunch socialist, and that plays a very prominent role in this movie, and it plays a prominent role in how Robert Downey Jr.'s character comes into play into that, because he pretty much kind of testifies against
because
him.
this movie goes across his entire life, from childhood to Los Alamos to even, the era of McCarthyism. You really actually get a sense of that era and what you had to face. And it's mind-boggling that there was a time like the McCarthy era where, you were genuinely being persecuted just for having beliefs, just for having, a political affiliation. Crazy.
Well, let's be honest. We're kind of in an era like that right now. Let's just go ahead and just put that out there. I mean, the Red Scare never really ended, and any type of left wing or progressive politics, or even further than that, it's just consistently been demonized in this country ever since then. And this right here just kind of shows those machinations at work.
And it's crazy because Oppenheimer wasn't even a member of the Communist Party. He argued for the freedom of being able to express, ideals, and he had an academic interest in it, and also stood for a lot of what back then were considered progressive ideologies like integration.
Exactly. Very progressive at the time. Like, I mean, people wouldn't even hear of it.
And there's the other professor that's like, I'll vote for it, but I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, there's there's his push to unionize the engineers and the faculty and whatnot at his place of work, which kind of gets him into a little bit of hot water. I mean, he was a straight up socialist and a trade unionist.
And despite his efforts and despite his contribution to science, peace, you could argue, depending on how you see everything, he was still because he just happened to have, these affiliations and he just happened to be a free thinker, that followed him the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And ultimately led to his downfall. And, it just goes to show just how crazy of a time this was. And again, you can kind of look at the movie and it's kind of hard to even take an ethical stance, because you could make the argument that, when the bomb dropped, how many more lives did it save than it killed? But then you have to think how many more lives were destroyed because the nuclear weapons were invented. But then you have to think, if the U.S. didn't do it first, then the Nazis or the Russians would have done it first. So there's just so many angles, But it's a reality that the only reality is that this event happened, and it was both tragic, but also beneficial to ending the war.
Yeah,
Integral.
but there was also a few things that were They were all. Excuse me. There were also a few things something that they kind of left out was what happened when they initially built Los Alamos and actually tested the bomb. First of all, everybody who was living in that area in Los Alamos, that wasn't an uninhabited area. They were pretty much forcefully removed and pretty much just told to get the fuck out, and they never got. And a lot of those were indigenous people. A lot of those were poorer white and
for what it's worth, in the movie at least, Oppenheimer
But
argues that they should give the land back after the
yeah, at the very least, but no, that's not a good idea though, because I mean the other side of that is that a couple of the adjacent towns to the Los Alamos test area, they did get a good dose of fallout that they're still to this day dealing with. There's still cancer clusters there.
Damn, because of the test.
That happened.
How many people involved?
Because of the test, that happened.
How many people involved in this experiment ended up with radiation sickness?
Oh, who knows?
Negative effects.
Who knows? I mean,
just wondering, how many of these scientists that we see in the movie, or personnel.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I like the way that the story is told, you know, through these character interactions, and not even necessarily in a linear order. I mean, the movie is told disjointed. You know, just constantly
it's non-chronological.
Yeah. There are, in fact, two pasts and presents, like, ongoing, you know?
Exactly.
Like at any time, and it's kind of hard to keep track of. And I like how the movie not only is switching between the past and the present, and between this character's perspective or that character's perspective, but also between like the black and white and color moments. And what's funny is it's not immediately obvious what the difference between the color scenes and the black and white scenes mean, because they don't directly correlate to whether we're seeing the past or the present. They don't directly correlate with whether we're seeing this from Oppenheimer's or Strauss's perspective. They're kind of all over the place. And I think what I heard was that somewhere, I don't know if this is actually from Nolan or the crew, but somewhere somebody said that the black and white scenes represent objective truth, or like are objective, and the colored scenes are subjective.
Interesting. Okay. And it's funny that most of the black and white scenes are scenes of Strauss testifying to Congress.
They're mostly around Strauss, right? And they mostly seem to be.
It's mostly around Strauss,
from Strauss's
exactly.
perspective, but it wasn't 100%. I remember, and I remember like wondering, like how far, and the movie even toys with other things. We kind of see sort of a flash forward at the end, which gives us a little bit more hope about the rest of Oppenheimer's life, and it's just this movie is kind of dancing around these different time periods and telling a story about his entire life that way, this isn't the type of movie that I feel like I would normally be interested in, like a historical drama / biopic. It's like, but it was a Christopher Nolan movie, so I watched it, and I'm glad that I did, because it's actually just really well done, like just a really excellent film on its own. Like it took a subject matter I wasn't even necessarily particularly interested in, and invested me in it.
Absolutely. And it's a historical figure that we just don't really consider all the time, even though Oppenheimer arguably had probably one of the greatest impacts of most scientists of his time,
Yeah.
I mean, impact that led to real world like situations.
Right, exactly. I mean, and what's interesting is that most movies about Oppenheimer have been focused on the Los Alamos, the time at Los Alamos, but this movie, again, depicts his entire life, and I think that's the first time that's been done on film. And again, doesn't even necessarily take a stance on whether or not you should empathize with Oppenheimer and celebrate him as a hero or not. The movie just kind of lets you interpret that however you want, or perceive that however you want. The movie doesn't make a clear stance. Although I will say that it did a good job of taking a character who definitely had flaws and still making him relatable and empathizable.
I will say that, I mean, I could at least sympathize the character when it came to him being persecuted for his political beliefs. Yeah. I mean, Oppenheimer and whatnot. I mean, because that was a serious blight on our history in its own right. Was the whole Red Scare and McCarthyism and whatnot. I mean, that led to bad things, and it's kind of history's kind of repeating itself a little bit there. But
right.
But yeah, I mean, the way that this movie was paced, I mean, it really kept you engaged. I mean, I don't know who edited this movie, but the editing just kind of moves things forward at a pace where, I mean, you're still kind of taking in all the actual historical elements, but, it doesn't linger too much and it doesn't drag in any way. And the pacing in both these movies were good, but like especially for something like Oppenheimer, like a historical biopic, I mean, that could really drag sometimes, man. Like especially if you go back and you watch a lot of older ones, like Gandhi or something like that. It's like, yeah, there's some parts where it drags a little bit, but that wasn't the case here.
No, not at all. And the movie didn't bore me or fail to leave me entertained, despite the 3-hour runtime. And by the end of it, I was like, yeah, that was 3 hours, but I never felt like it was dragging. I never looked at my watch at the time, to see how much was left. And I remember when they get to the bomb test, thinking that that this could be where the movie kind of ends. But then I realized, no, I think there's a lot more story to tell here. And then they did. I think like the whole like third act really is post Los Alamos, and just kind of focuses on the aftermath of that
and also more of the political persecution that Oppenheimer was experiencing.
Right.
Well.
And I just love
that's where we get that. That's where we get that awesome scene, where they're in the when they're in the boardroom and everything, and Oppenheimer is testifying, and it's that moment where he has to confirm under oath that he had sex with Jane Totsky.
I was just thinking about that scene,
in front of his wife, and then like all of a sudden he's naked, and then Florence Pugh appears, and it's literally like he's cheating on his wife is just kind of seeing that. It's just like, damn, it's like that's a fucking gut punch to her.
And it's from her perspective.
Like she's basically seeing she's seeing her fuck his mistress in front of her there, like figuratively.
And more than that,
she's finding out about that.
More than that, I think what the film was trying to convey is that they're naked and fucking right in front of the entire board. So it's like, from her perspective, it's like that room full of people knowing and watching them fuck. You know what I mean? Like their secrets were out to bear.
And it really just undercuts that humiliation that she must have felt.
Exactly.
It's pure humiliation.
Because she was already aware that this had happened, but it's her not only being reminded of it happening and watching it happen, but watching it happen in front of a room of people and the entire world knowing their dirty secrets.
Not just a room of people, a room of Congress people.
And like this was a humiliating moment for both of them, and the film really kind of like it's kind of a gut punch, because you realize that all of these accusations are unfounded, regardless of what you think about Oppenheimer's character by this point. The accusations that are being brought forth are unfounded. It's literally just because he had associations, and she did too, in the past. Again, the political persecution that plays as much into this movie as the ethical question of whether creating and dropping the bomb was ethical. And
which is interesting, seeing some of the discourse over this movie, is that there's a lot of the anti-woke people who were initially saying that, Oppenheimer was going to be the anti-woke movie and everything. But it's just like, oh, you mean the movie about a man being persecuted for his socialist and communist associations and beliefs? Like that movie?
Yeah.
Really? It's like, you think that's not woke?
Right. Yeah,
it's like, come the fuck on, man.
Interestingly enough, it somehow maintains a nonpartisan stance. But just seeing like the injustice that happened, that the truth, the reality of that, should be enough for anybody to kind of understand, and you know what I mean? It's like,
it's especially with all of the service that he gave, coming up with the bomb that ended the World War II. It ended
on the
war,
cover of Time magazine,
Absolutely,
to this. And just the whole like the assassination of his reputation, which thankfully was restored, because I think we should. I think it's right to celebrate the accomplishment in science and what it meant for the world, or maybe not celebrate it, but remember it. Talk about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like this and Oppenheimer is somebody who had, a justification, arguably more than anybody, to be a voice, to be an influence on whether nuclear arms should be used.
Yeah, definitely.
We imagine a future. And our imaginings horrify us. They won't fear it until they understand it. And they won't understand it until they've used it. Theory will take you only so far. Be trusted with such a weapon. But we have no choice. Is anyone ever going to tell the truth about what's happening here?
But I mean, again, I guess that's the most that we'll really get into the movie, but there is just a lot to unpack, and we both, I know we both recommend that you watch both of these movies because they're both incredible.
They really are, and it is a brilliant double feature, honestly. It doesn't feel out of place with each other.
What a great combination.
I mean, they almost complement each other. Yeah, it really is.
It's so interesting, just like the duality of man of both of these movies, either of which, could get a Best Picture award, like easily. And obviously, the cast and crew involved, there's going to be awards for both of these. And these are both going to be culturally relevant movies for quite some time,
Oh, I think this is the cinematic event of this generation.
Yeah.
Like whole stop. Honestly.
Timeless. So cool that we got to talk about this together. I know it's a little bit late. I mean, the movies have been out for a couple weeks, but everybody's still talking about them, and I noticed that. Like some of the movies,
neither of them had that big of a drop off in their second week.
Yeah.
I mean, Barbie is now sitting at over $1 billion right now, and Oppenheimer just made over $500 million. So
yeah, I mean, like there are like at least 3 active Barbie shitposting groups. Like the Barbie memes are still pretty mainstream.
Nice.
I want to see if there's an Oppenheimer shitposting group, like Oppenheimer bomb posting or something.
There probably is. That if there isn't, we should make one.
But yeah, just the memes about both of these movies, together, all the Ken memes. I mean, I'm just loving the hell out of this. Again, I think that like this was an important cinematic event. It really was. It's significant.
It really was.
This deserves both of these movies should be in the National Film Registry as a result of this.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
But yeah. So if you enjoyed this episode, stay tuned for season 7 of Collateral Cinema. What do we got coming up, Beau?
Well, our season premiere will be Freddy vs. Jason, and our second October Halloween related episode will be Trick or Treat. And I believe we're doing Halloween 4 for our official Halloween episode. So yeah, look for that coming in October.
Fuck yeah, I'm excited. Collateral Gaming will be starting up in September. We are going to be doing a redux on Spider-Man and a full spoiler episode on Miles Morales, which we did a spoiler-free review of before. So revisiting both games on the podcast as a 2-part episode. And then in October, of course, we've got our spooky game content. So we are actually going to be talking about Dino Crisis and Resident Evil 3. that month.
Absolutely. That's going to be a lot of fun.
And then for the
I can't
Halloween
wait.
special, Silent Hill for The Room. And then because so the Spider-Man games that we're or episodes that we're doing are building up to the release of Spider-Man 2 at the end of October. So we'll actually be covering that game in November. Again, starting with a spoiler-free review, and then the second part getting into the full spoiler details like we've done with a lot of episodes. And I'm really actually excited about all of it. I'm excited about Collateral Cinema Season 7. I'm excited about the picks. And there are going to be more collabs between both of our podcasts as well. And
definitely,
even before the new seasons come, I mean, we've still got plenty of postseason content to release. I mean, I know there is another director's cut episode that we need to edit and release. So there's that. That's already been recorded.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's our slashers in the big city. Jason Takes Manhattan and Leprechaun in Vegas.
I still need to actually get.
By the way, with it's with Dads from the Crypt.
Nice.
By the way,
I'm also need to get the Morbius commentary out on Patreon. It's on our Podbean patron section, so if you become a patron on Podbean, you can check out our commentary on Morbius as we get morbed. And very soon I'll have the video version out so that on Patreon.
Yeah. And we have another avenue for crowdfunding and whatnot. We are now on Buy Me a Coffee. So look up Collateral Media Podcasts on Buy Me a Coffee and give us $5. Buy us a coffee. Help support the podcast. And also, if you go on Spreadshirt and look up Collateral Media Podcasts, we also have a merch shop. We have different designs, so 2 different designs so far. We have hats, shirts, tote bags, mugs, all kinds of stuff. So visit us there and help support our podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Hell yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. And there'll still be more At the Movies episodes to do. We may actually have a releasable episode on Spider-Verse, which we thought was lost. That's why we didn't release it.
Yeah. We thought that was going to be some lost media, but apparently we found it.
We may have an episode that's releasable for that. I know like TMNT is coming out this month.
I want to see that Blue Beetle. I know Robert wanted to see Blue Beetle and the new Gran Turismo movie.
Gran Turismo, yeah. So, I mean, definitely another At the Movies episode there somewhere before the next season. And more to come this upcoming season. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and also on the aforementioned Podbean Patreon, and Buy Me a Coffee.
Hell yeah. Well, with that all being said,
I am Barbenheimer.
And Ken is me.
And this was Collateral Cinema Barbenheimer 2023 edition. And Alan is literally me. Literally fucking me. Oh, and fuck Ben Shapiro too. Laters.
Just might feel good. I wanna push you around. Well, I will. I'm gonna push you down. Well, I will. I wanna take you from ground down. I wanna take you from ground down. Yeah. Everyone lie to me, 'cause I'm a little untrusting when I think that the truth is gonna hurt, And I don't know why you couldn't just stay with me. Couldn't stand to be near me when my face don't seem to wanna shine. 'Cause I'm a little bit dirty, oh well. Just stand there saying nice things to me. I've been cheated, I've been wrong with you. You don't know me, yeah, but I can't change. I won't do anything at all. I wanna push you around. Well, I will. I wanna push you down. Well, I will. Oh, don't bone me over. Just wait a minute. Well, it kind of fell apart. Things get so crazy, crazy. Don't rush this, baby. Don't rush this, baby, baby. I wanna push you around. Well, I will. Well, I will. I wanna push you down. Well, I will. Well, I will. I wanna take you on right down. I wanna take you. Yeah, I will.
Collateral Cinema is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and movie clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.